Hello, everybody, and welcome to our new account-based marketing webinar. As promised, today we are going to chat about 3 ABM campaigns that can help you to grow your sales pipeline, and you can orchestrate and execute these campaigns on a shoestring budget with a small team. And just to give you a quick heads up, what we are going to talk about. First of all, I think it's critical to discuss 5 most common mistakes that make any account-based marketing campaign doomed before launch. I think this is really important to be aware of these mistakes. Otherwise, the most effective playbook won't help you. Next, we are going to present you 3 campaigns that we did multiple times last year, and they worked really well. So the first one will be the ABM Connect and Qualify campaign. Next, the direct mail campaign, and the last one will be the virtual event campaign. We have done last year. We have done 3 events, and all of them were pretty successful. So I want to share with you the nitty-gritty details and the behind the scenes of these campaigns, and describing probably one from a narrow market. That would be really interesting. And at the last part, we are going to share with you how to launch a pilot ABM program just in 6 weeks. And we have a small gift for all of you, which we want to share at the end of this webinar. So stay until the end. And just a quick note, we are happy to answer all of your questions. So just please be patient, and once we'll finish, you can jump in, switch on your camera and ask your questions live, or feel free to type them in the chat. And at the end of this webinar, we'll discuss all the questions and answer all of them. So if this is fine, we can start with the first point I want to share with you. For those people who don't know me and Vlad, I want to quickly introduce us. I'm Andrei Zinkovich. I'm co-founder at fullfunnel.io. This is a full funnel B2B marketing consulting company where we serve tech and service-based companies with long and complex sales cycle. As well, I'm co-founder of ROI Plan. This is a marketing planning software. I wrote a LinkedIn B2B marketing inbound book that got an award and was included to 100 best B2B marketing books of all time by Book Authority. Some of you probably are aware about the community I'm running since 2017. It's B2B Marketers and Founders Facebook community, and this is my 15th year in B2B marketing and sales. When it comes to my co-founder, Vladimir, he as well spent 14 years as me in B2B marketing, worked with 100 plus tech companies, mainly from Benelux region, and he was rated with a very high score, I feel, 4.74 by 50 verified B2B companies. Had some good projects with Microsoft, with Series, and well-known European companies. So that's enough about us. I feel that you didn't come to listen a lot about our story. So let's move straight forward to the topic. Let's start with the biggest ABM myths and worst practices. I want to discuss 5 of them. First of all, the first biggest myth and the most common mistake when companies tend to think that account-based marketing replaces other marketing activities and becomes a standalone go-to-market strategy. This is not true. Because I have heard this question multiple times, and companies, were reaching me out and saying, like, can you help us to switch to account-based marketing? And we want to stop all other marketing campaigns, and we want to focus solely on account-based marketing. Like, what are your thoughts on it? And I always say, please stop, don't do this. And the reason why, because ABM is just a part of your go-to-market strategy. You need demand generation, you need inbound marketing, you need, in some cases, paid acquisition if your business model works, if paid traffic can be converted into sales qualified opportunities in your business. You need lead nurturing programs, you need sales enablement, you need a good client success process. And account-based marketing, what is the difference? So account-based marketing helps you to focus on particular accounts, but it doesn't mean that you need to stop other campaigns. Because here's the truth. If you are doing LinkedIn demand generation, and I feel lots of you have heard about this webinar from LinkedIn, if just let's do a quick poll. If you have heard about this webinar from LinkedIn, please put plus in the comments. Let's see how many people came from LinkedIn. That's just a quick test. And if I was focusing only on account-based marketing, then we just had like around 20 people from our target accounts, and that's fine. And I will share with you, this is something that you should be doing, but it's not, it shouldn't be like a standalone process. You still need to have this, let's say, top of the funnel events where you attract new traffic and then you analyze the upcoming traffic. You can qualify these accounts and see if some of them fit your tier 1 or tier 2 segmentation. Then you can add them to, let's say, dedicated personalized campaigns, which we are going to share with you as well today. Next, ABM requires expensive tech stack and a big budget. This is a myth that was created by account-based marketing vendors. Unfortunately, when I was thinking about account-based marketing the other day, I reached out to a couple of enterprise well-known vendors and asked for the price. So the minimal budget, I mean, not the budget you should be paying, like not a standalone budget for the campaigns or activities you are going to run. Just the budget to pay for the software starts from 20K, and most companies simply can't afford it. And there is always a question, what ROI can I get from it? And obviously, once you can't prove this ROI, lots of people start feeling, well, like if it costs so much, this is probably something that only enterprise companies can afford. And this is not true. Obviously, if you have read some of our case studies, if you are following us, if you are reading our newsletter, you have seen a bunch of examples of the campaigns that were done on a shoestring budget. And basically, this is the goal of today's webinar, to share with you some practical examples that were done on, like, the highest budget I worked with was like 5K budget for one campaign, but the ROI was very high. And again, this is what we'll share with you today. But lots of campaigns were arranged and executed on a budget under $1,000 for tier 1 accounts. Basically, tier 1 means accounts with the highest revenue potential. Next, ABM requires 100% personalization of all the content you create. And again, this is the myth that was created by account-based marketing vendors. Well, there is some sort of truth here, because when it comes to the latest stages of ABM campaign, when you are, let's say, pitching or reaching out to your target accounts, then I feel indeed your pitch should be 100% personalized if you are reaching to tier 1 and tier 2 accounts. That's true. But it doesn't mean that all your content on your website should be personalized as vendors share in their blogs, posts, or ebooks, or webinars, or whatever. So you can still run dedicated, blogs. That's, let's say, your content strategy should be vertical based or focuses on several job roles, and that's it. This is how you attract this top of the funnel traffic, and it shouldn't be 100% personalized. There is a myth that you need to create personalized landing pages for every account, and again, this could be simply replaced with a simple content hub that you can create. You just need to create one content hub that you can easily tweak and add some like branding and add some materials that are relevant to this particular account. But this could be done once you have this content hub. Any sales or marketing person can tweak this content hub and create a new one for a new account, just like in several minutes, just believe me. Next, ABM requires a big marketing and sales teams. Just a question. Have you ever read like an ebook produced by, let's say, Engager, or new company called Demand Base that acquired Engager? If yes, then you have probably seen that all their playbooks require, okay, there should be head of sales, SDR, account executive, bunch of copywriters, head of marketing, VP of marketing, marketer, etc. And this is not true. So today we'll share with you one campaign that Vlad executed. Just I helped with the strategy part, and he was in charge of marketing and sales. So this was done by one person. As well, we'll share the direct mail campaign where I was in charge of marketing, and I worked just with one SDR who joined just on the stages when this person should be doing the follow-ups with the account, and that's it. So just believe me, it's not impossible to do with just 2 people. And the last means that ABM means lead generation only. Traditionally, when we speak about account-based marketing, we mean that we need to generate more leads, we need to generate more opportunities, but this is not true. First of all, account-based marketing playbooks can be dedicated to account renewals, and this is critical for companies with annual contracts or annual subscription pricing model. So if your target accounts, or if your clients are paying this high ticket product, paying for this high ticket product or service, there is always a question like how to make sure that they will renew the contract, how to prove this value, and you should be doing this every time. And that's the goal of like dedicated account-based marketing plays. Then you have sales qualified opportunities that let's say or companies that are postponing the decision every time, and the sales cycle becomes longer and longer. And your goal is to somehow activate these opportunities. And that's, again, the goal of account-based marketing playbook. So you need to run dedicated campaigns, specific campaigns to activate this. And then you have customers, or you have some leads you had conversation in the past, but then they told, in some cases, especially if you are selling high ticket services, they told, okay, this is not right time, let's talk like in 6 months. And you need to run reactivation campaigns for these accounts, and that's the goal of account-based marketing. Then you have deal expansion, and this is the lowest hanging fruit when it comes to account-based marketing. You have an existing customer, and if this customer is happy, if they are getting a value from your product or your service, basically what should be doing next? You should be increasing average contract value. You should be increasing the lifetime value of this customer. You should be generating referrals and finding opportunities to grow the business with these customers. And this is the easiest way to grow revenue. Unfortunately, nowadays, most B2B companies measure marketing efficiency by leads or sales qualified opportunities, and they rarely measure marketing activities by revenue. But as I shared with you, account-based marketing can help you, different plays can help you to grow revenue without generating necessary new leads in your sales pipeline. So these are the biggest account-based marketing myths. Next, when it comes to team alignment, basically you have heard a lot, I believe you have heard a lot that marketing and sales alignment is critical, and I don't want to, again, to share the content you have read multiple times. So 3 things that require alignment between marketing and sales, or just between 2 people, like one marketer and one SDR. So this is ideal customer profile. You must be, that's your ideal customer profile should be approved by sales. That's it, period. And by executives, obviously. So you should have a clear list of criteria you can use to build an account list. So that's the first point. Next, qualification and disqualification criteria. This is critical. Most companies never have disqualification criteria. So they have qualification, okay, team size, revenue, tech stack, and whatever, but they never have disqualification criteria. And this is critical because otherwise, you can end up with a mistake lots of companies are making when sales are transferring, a list of so-called wish list of accounts. They say, okay, like I want this company, let's say I want to do a business with Skype, I want to do a business with Microsoft, Microsoft, with Apple, etc., with Facebook, and all other well-known companies. But this is just a wish list. And you must be very clear who is your ideal customer, who can be really your customer, who can you acquire, and that's why you should have this disqualification criteria. And the last part, warm-up and activation campaigns. So sales should be aware what you exactly be doing at marketing side to warm up target accounts, because all of you have heard, people are buying from people they know, like, and trust. And it's much easier, it's way easier to reach out for salesperson to somebody from the target accounts buying community if these people are aware about your company. And quite often sales have no clue what marketing is doing. So that's why it's like this is the most critical point. Sales should be aware how marketing is going to warm up target accounts and what should be the next activation steps for sales. So account-based marketing playbook consists of those two parts, warm up and activation part. And the last point when it comes to account-based marketing strategy, 5 most common mistakes. One of them I have already covered, giving to marketing a wish list of accounts or list of the lost deals. Again, that's the second mistake, like sales lost deals, they were not able to convert the lead and they're given this list to marketing and say, okay, now it's your turn. And they're just waiting and want to see what marketing will be doing. Again, I believe you understand that this campaign is doomed beforehand. Next, skipping the strategy, account research, warm-up programs, and jumping into outreach. The other day, I did a post on LinkedIn and I asked, like, what is the most creative outreach you have ever seen or you have ever done, or maybe somebody reached you out. And people were sharing a bunch of examples, you know, they were saying, okay, we sent like a box of candies that was locked, and we were saying like that we will give you a key to this box in case if you'll have a meeting with us, you know, or like sending some sort of like gifts. But there is always a question, you know, person can receive it, but there is a question, okay, what's in here for me? Like, why should I care about this meeting? If you skip this, the most important parts, just believe me that creative outreach is like just a piece of the puzzle. But the critical parts are strategy, account research, warm up, then personalization, and then only the creativity comes as the last piece of the puzzle. So never skip it. Next, lack of internal alignment and training about warm-up, activation, onboarding, and expansion playbooks. This is something that I just were talking about like a couple of minutes ago. So you need to train sales team on how I'm talking from marketing perspective right now, of course. So you need to train sales team on how you are, as marketers, you are going to warm up your target accounts and what exactly sales should be doing at activation part. This is the work marketing should be doing together with sales. And if you avoid this internal training, just believe me, then your campaign will underperform. This is critical. Next, making decisions fast about what works and what doesn't. And especially this is funny when company has a long sales cycle, like 9 months, 10 months, 1 year, you know, and this is traditional natural sales cycle. They launch a new campaign and they say, okay, so like we didn't close any deal in 30 days, so this doesn't work, let's do traditional outbound. Never do this mistake. So unfortunately, I don't have, and I believe nobody has a magic wand, you know, a silver bullet to shorten drastically your sales cycle. That's not true. So that's why you need to have preliminary marketing metrics to measure the success of your account-based marketing campaign. And this is not what vendors are sharing with you. This is not like clicks on IP-based ads or whatever. You have different metrics, and when it comes to account engagement, and we'll talk about this later. And the last mistake is ignoring the buying committee and reach out to decision makers only. That's funny. Everybody wants to talk about decision makers. But let's be honest. First of all, if you are targeting mid-size or enterprise companies, in most cases, decision makers won't be the end users of your product if we are talking about tech companies, or won't collaborate with you if we are talking about service-based companies. So in most cases, they will delegate it to, let's say, lower grade team members. And the truth is that nobody wants, to talk to people who jumped over their head. That's the first case. Second thought I want to share with you. You need to always keep it in mind that it's a way, like, it's much better when these people are aware about you and they have heard about your product, or at least about your company or about you, and they will have more willingness to collaborate with you. And that's why it's critical to engage with the buying committee. And the last part, again, if you are targeting mid-size or enterprise companies, just believe me, there will be a case with internal meeting where even if decision maker would be interested, in your proposal, in your product, or in your service, there would be an internal discussion where they will ask for opinion about your product, and they will ask each of the buying committee members. And of course, it's much better when you have already connected with these people, you have established this relationship, and these people are aware about you. That's why you shouldn't think only about decision makers only. Always think strategically, always think about this engagement, that you need to have these internal champions. And it helps in terms of preventing churn, in terms of client success, in terms of product adoption, in terms of successful case studies. So that's why this is critical. So that's it when it comes to the strategical part. Now let's move to the 3 campaigns that we promised you to share. And the first campaign is the ABM Connect and Qualify campaign, and I'm giving over to Vladimir.
We should just stop sharing. I can't share if you're still sharing, Andrei.
Just a second. Now you can share your screen.
Awesome. Yeah, everybody can see my screen. Maybe just give me a comment in the chat. Awesome. So let's talk about, so today we are going to share 3 campaigns that we've done on basically a shoestring budget. And the first one is what I sometimes call the Connect and Qualify campaign. So what is a Connect and Qualify campaign? The examples that we are going to share is the example that Andrei mentioned earlier. I did when we launched Full Funnel. He was busy onboarding new team members, and I was doing this campaign. And we decided to include 2021, I think, accounts in this campaign. And it took me about, I judge, approximately between 2 and 4 hours each week, on the busiest week, never more than half a day to run this campaign. We didn't spend a lot of money. We spent maybe 200-300 euros, and we generated from that 5 sales qualified leads and 1 sale. Now, what is really amazing is that you can see here on the right-hand side, we had like 76% response rate. The acceptance rate means simply that we actually spoken to 43% of those people. And what's actually the most interesting is that out of those 8, we had 6 of them being a marketing qualified lead and 5 opportunities. So the conversion from an MQL to SQL was quite high. So let's dive into the process. So what we did. Here is an overview, and I will just walk you through this overview and then walk you through also the steps of setting up this campaign. So the first part to this is what we want to do is, like in any other ABM campaign, we have our list of target accounts, our dream list, if you like, right? And in that list, we have accounts and we have members of the buying committee that we want to target. And so you may choose to set up different plays for different members of the buying committee, or to include multiple members in the buying committee. In this case, we kind of split them up between me and a colleague, but I was really focusing on these 21 accounts that I spoke about. And we targeted them by basically inviting them to feature them in a market-specific publication. Now, what I mean by market-specific publication, in our case, this was a podcast. So we were inviting them to be a guest on the podcast. But we also did campaigns where we did like invited them to participate in a market research. We invited them to participate in a guest blog post. We invited them to participate, you know, in a white paper, in a write-up post or whatever. Like that's your kind of excuse to get in touch with them and to talk to them. So we would invite them to the market-specific publication and then actually had an interview. So what you see here is like a little multi-touch campaign. At a minimum, we would use LinkedIn and email. I'll talk more about that in a moment. And the goal was always to do the qualification interview. So you're doing your interview, you're asking, for example, you know, if this is a podcast, I will usually do a pre-production interview with them. They appreciate that. And the way that I say it's like, you know what, I usually do this pre-production interview so that I can nail the topic and present you in the best possible light. And everybody who is not really experienced, and our targets are usually not that experienced, they say, okay, yeah, that I appreciate it. And actually during that pre-interview, or if you're doing market research during the actual main interview, what I'm asking them, and I'm asking them questions to really figure out what, you know, they're all about and how I can, you know, position them in the best possible light, but I'm actually also asking them qualification questions. I'm actually asking them almost the exact same questions that I would ask them during a discovery call. Okay, so this is like the key point. So why is this important? Now, let's take a step back. If you think about it, what's one of the important steps or one of the important pieces of the puzzle in the ABM, in any ABM campaign, is account research. So you want to do some research of your accounts so that you can personalize your outreach. Now, imagine this, you have that person that you're reaching out to in front of you and you're talking to them. So there's no better research than that. So that's kind of what I wanted to mention. And in addition to that, what you're doing, you're building a relationship with that person. You're having conversations before the interview and you're following up after the interview. So there are all these different touches that you have, including the personal one. And, you know, people usually really enjoy this process. And like I said, you're asking qualification questions, which allow you to qualify if they are, you know, if they have the need, and if you can, you know, what kind of solutions they're using currently, and what their priorities are, and what their challenges and goals are, etc. So you like know all of that, and you know whether there is a need. But even more than that, because you know all that, you can really like personalize your approach, your follow-up, your pitch. Okay, that's kind of the overview. And what you see here in this little scheme is like, this is kind of the outreach, and then there's different steps in the follow-up. Okay, so just a little hack that I wanted to mention. What really works well is if you can leverage communities and associations. In the case of this campaign that I had 20 accounts, I didn't do that. But when we did market research, we actually did that. I just wanted to share this because it's a really nice hack. If you have a community where your target audience hangs out, is really good. So in my case, I had you can see here, I could easily connect with 80% of people from that community, even if it was quite a big list initially. And then in my selection for my accounts that I wanted to include, I had, this was like a tier 1, this was like a bigger campaign. We had 55% response rate. And this kind of response rate is something that you can get when you are kind of leveraging that community. And if you can also, in this case, I even had the chance to write for their blog. So that was really helpful for me to build credibility and to get more people to engage with me. But that's just a little hack. You don't need to do that. Now, the outreach itself, like I mentioned, the outreach is usually multi-touch, multi-channel. And I'll talk more about multi-touch, multi-channel follow-up. We're going to go in a little bit more detail. What I just wanted to mention here is that, you know, you don't need to consider that if somebody didn't accept your LinkedIn invite or LinkedIn message that you send, that's the end of the campaign, or that you need to keep sending them LinkedIn messages, because then you're just becoming that annoying spammer, right? So what works much better is if you can mix up the channels and follow up. So for example, from LinkedIn to email. By the way, LinkedIn is so bad, you know, in their inbox is ridiculous, right? And so people may just see your message when they're busy somewhere in a meeting or whatever, and you know, it pops up as a notification. You tap that notification, you go to LinkedIn, and that message disappears. And you say, oh, I'll deal with that later, but of course it just disappears from your inbox, right? New messages come and you don't see it. It's not like email. Anyhow, so you want to do multi-channel outreach and want to mix things up a little. So in this case, you see, you know, some LinkedIn messages, switching from LinkedIn to email, then maybe sending some videos, or an actual, like, just during my walk, I would just send a video message via LinkedIn. And when that's possible, if I had their contact details, I would do WhatsApp, Slack, or whatever other channel that I could do. And what's interesting here is that, of course, like you will have, like you saw, 75% response rate. Was it 75, 72? I'm not sure. But what happens as well sometimes, and what happened to me in two cases here, is that people, you know, they were like responding to the research, but actually we ended up just having the discovery call. That was it. And they were like, they checked out my profile, they knew what I was doing. Maybe they were, well, in this case, they were really very well warmed up beforehand, so they knew what we were doing. And so they said, oh, okay, you know what? I want to talk to you anyhow. We have this project and, you know, we need help, etc. So that can happen as well. And that's a really nice side effect. Now, how do you follow up? The best way to follow up is, well, part of the best practice is that you want to follow up, you know, soon. And that's after the interview, you may send them like a thank you and a soft pitch, or ask them for a referral. So let me explain that, what I mean by that. So when do you actually go from that conversation into a pitch? Sometimes it's possible to do it even during the conversation. And sometimes it happens that during the conversation, they may say, you know, what it is that you're doing. So you have a kind of an opening at the end of the conversation. Or you may try to say something like towards the end of the conversation, say something like, you know, you mentioned that you have challenge such and such. And, you know, we just worked with another client. We worked with a company that is very similar to yours. And we did, you know, campaign or whatever, we did XYZ, and we had these amazing results. So if you're interested, I'd really, you know, I'd be open to set up a separate call and, you know, go in more detail. You know? Or you might ask him towards the end, you might ask them something like, you know, maybe you saw it on my profile, but we are, you know, fullfunnel.io, help B2B tech and service companies with complex sales cycles, scale their revenue. And do you know another company that could be a good fit? This is what I mean by a referral, right? This, you can ask them for referral. They may actually refer you to somebody, or they may say, you know what, actually this is us and we could, you know, benefit from what you guys are doing. So these are like kind of like quick wins that sometimes are possible. You don't have to do this. I would definitely not do that if you don't see directly a good match, and, you know, there is basically no qualification directly. And then what we also did in my campaign that I was talking about, and that's actually the reason why it took up to half a day per week, is that we did one-on-one personal outreach using direct mail. And I'll talk more about direct mail. And these are some of the responses that we were getting from that. So let's talk about direct mail campaign that I just mentioned. Now, when I say direct mail, just to be very clear, I'm talking about regular snail mail. I'm not talking about email or anything like that. Okay, just to be clear. Now, why would you do that? Why would you send somebody a parcel? Well, because in the era of email automation and LinkedIn automation, direct mail stands out. And if you do it in a correct way, if your account is warmed up, if your letter is personalized, and if you even accompany it with a little personalized gift, as I will tell you in a moment how we can do that, you will have, you know, high open rates, right? People are used to getting a spam mail, but I will show you how you can make sure that your mail gets opened and read. So let's jump in. So this is the second campaign. So what was this campaign about? Well, this is the campaign that Andre mentioned that actually he has done with one SDR. By the way, the SDR was involved in the last steps of the campaign where they were doing follow-up. And the total cost was 5,000 euros. This was the most expensive campaign that we are going to share with you today. And we had 30 highly targeted accounts in this campaign, a super competitive market. We're talking about, in this case, it was like a development company, software development company, targeting startups in healthcare industry. So it was like super, super competitive. I'm sure you've gotten like tons of cold emails or cold LinkedIn messages from software companies, from, I don't know, India or Eastern Europe or whatever. And, everybody's just learned to ignore them. So how do you get them to then, as you can see here in the results, actually respond with 37%? Out of those 30 accounts, we had 12 of them respond and actually qualify and create an opportunity, an actual sales opportunity with half of them. So 6 out of 12 became an opportunity, and the total value was $300,000. All right, the 5,000 investment, $3,000 in sales opportunities. So quite good ROI. And by the way, a lot of those were later closed. So this was like a really effective campaign. And I want to now guide you through the steps of how we set up a campaign like that and how we did it. So the first step is research. Now, Andre mentioned 2 types of research. Well, Andre mentioned 1 type of research, and that is like researching your best customers when you're creating your ideal customer profile, figuring out who the members of the buying committee are, figuring out what their needs are, etc., so that you can personalize your approach to that narrow segment, right? But another research actually that I shared with you just a moment ago is during what I call the connect and qualify, which is basically a warm-up, ABM warm-up play. But you can also do desk research. And even if you're doing a warm-up campaign, even if you're having those conversations, desk research always pays. And in this example, we are talking, there are different kinds of research you can do, but the easiest one is to look at press releases, interviews of your target, and social media profiles and posts. And what you're looking for to figure out, for example, what happened to me, and I did it, so I did my warm-up campaign and I was about to talk to my prospect, right? But I did a bit of research and I figured out, what I figured out? I figured out that they did this great interview and they were like growing like crazy and everything was fine, but I think half of their business came from these 2 huge trade shows, like one in Las Vegas and the other one in Amsterdam. And so basically I steered the conversation in that direction. This was like a pre-interview, so they were open, they were just like sharing with me, and I steered the conversation in that direction. I was saying, these shows are canceled, what are you doing? And he said, what, actually, from a fair like that, we almost did from 2 fairs, trade shows like that, we almost did like the full year. And I was saying, okay, so, what are you doing now? And he said, well, what we are doing now, we are setting up an inbound marketing strategy. We are like building a team and everything. And that was it. That was my entry, right? So they needed help then I could like talk about that with them and ask them questions about it. And they basically shared with me that, their challenges, etc. So this was like 100% qualification for me. I knew this was like the perfect time to do. If I didn't do that desk research, if I didn't figure that out, I might have never come to that insight and maybe had a wonderful interview with the person, but never really came to that point, which is the main reason why I did it, right, in the first place. Anyhow, so in this example that you see here, one of our accounts in our campaign, AppLovin, did an interview. So their, I guess, CEO did an interview on the acquisition. So one of the things is they acquired a startup called Max. Now, if you didn't know that, that would really be bad, because we figured out that majority of the buying committee members were actually in that startup. And so our campaign would have basically worked much worse if we didn't do this piece of research. So this is why you want to do it. The main reason why you want to do it is that this will allow you to personalize your direct mail, your letter that you're going to send. Now, what you also want to do is not just research the company, the account, but you also want to research the individual, especially if you're doing one-on-one outreach like I did in the other campaign. And you want to analyze their hobbies, interests, maybe their, teams, their favorite sports teams or their university, whatever personal information. Now, okay, I know that some of you may be thinking like, this is just creepy. What are you going to do? Are you going to like try to pretend that you're buddies or whatever? No, we are going to. I'm going to show you in a moment what we are going to do with this information, and it's actually very, very relevant. And you will see how well that works. So basically, in this case, we figured out that one of our prospects enjoyed cycling, and he did these huge cycling trips all over Europe, and he shared that on his Facebook, I believe, and with his friends and everything. So what we did and how we use this is basically, as you will see, we bought him a little gift that was basically the best possible mountain biking tours. It was a beautiful book. And then we personalized our outreach, our letter, and built a story around that hobby of theirs, because they received that gift. And then the letter accompanies that gift. So we're talking about that gift. And so then we kind of made a metaphor on how cycling B2B sales, what do they have in common? And what was even nicer is that we could really personalize, not only have an attention grabber, like they were absolutely 100% sure to open this and to read this if they saw something like that, which is like their interest, right? And their hobby, their passion even. But actually, we could even go a step further, because we did this warm-up campaign. When we had that conversation, we could go even further and personalize the pitch itself to the level of, talking about their goals, their priorities, and their challenges, and how we can help them and how we are a good fit. And that was really well received in this example. Now, you don't need to do this on one-on-one level. In the campaign that Andre did, it was always, and this is something that you will always do, you will always do a campaign on a very narrow target, which, it will be a vertical. It will actually be a part of very like sub-vertical, very segmented, very, very narrowly targeted part of that vertical. So in this case, these were the healthcare startups from from North America, basically. And of course, you will personalize to that segment, but what you will also do is you want to personalize it to each member of the buying committee, right? And in our research, so we were figuring out what their pain points are, what their interests are, how it all looks like, so we could really personalize our message to these different individuals. And you may also, if you decide to do that, that's not necessary in this campaign. Both of these campaigns, I believe, were run without any dedicated landing page. I didn't have any dedicated landing pages or something like that. But if you had a landing page, not even this one was done without. But if you had a landing page, you would be then able to also personalize maybe that landing page copy or emails. And if you're creating a content hub that maybe we mentioned a little bit earlier, you will be able then to have specific arguments and specific documents for these different roles. Okay. And so the final step is, of course, you want to send your proposal, and it's quite straightforward. So you make a parcel and you send it, and you definitely want to send it via a courier. Now, I mentioned gifts several several times. You can be very creative in how you create gifts. It can be like one-on-one, like I gave the example of the bike tours. So, let me just address an objection that comes up sometimes. In some companies, some bigger organizations, gifts are not allowed. Like, people are not allowed to accept gifts because they can be considered to be bribes, etc. And so we are not talking about anything expensive. We're talking about basically personalized attention, really is what it is, right? Like in this case, it was a box of personalized puzzle where we superimposed the faces of the 3 founders on the Star Trek theme with dashboards. Why dashboards? Because they were actually building dashboards, so it made total sense in our story, etc., etc. And this was kind of a follow-up that I was getting also from them. His wife was putting together the puzzle, and the reason why I decided to use puzzle was also that he shared that he loves to build stuff with his kids. So we are using a bit of creativity. You're trying to personalize, like you would do for your friend. Like you would send them you will buy them a personalized gift, right? Personalized. You would just buy them a gift that you think they will like based on what you know about them. This is what you're doing. And I can tell you, it's super fun and it really works. In the initial campaign, we did this kind of outreach. It was 100% response rate, but that was also because we did it one-on-one and we did a lot of warm-up. But you see, even like for a super competitive market where you don't really do a lot of warm-up, where you don't personalize on one-on-one level, you can have fantastic ROI like in this campaign. So with that, I think we have just one more step. I'm sorry. So this is an important step. This is probably the most important step. So that definitely don't want to miss this. So what you do after sending a parcel, that's not the end. So that's actually, of course, like if you don't follow up, you won't really have any sales opportunities, or maybe it happens. But what you want to do, and this is where the sales comes in, this is where you're teaming up with your sales team and you are creating a follow-up playbook, if you like, for them. And this is, again, a multi-channel and a multi-touch follow-up. Now, you don't have to go in this much detail and having all of these steps, but there are a couple of things that are really important. The first thing you want to make sure is that you're sending it on the right address. Nowadays, during COVID, people are working from homes, and I mean, in a lot of cases, they will have mail forward, etc. But you want to be sure that you're sending it on the right address. So this is a little check that you can do. If you had a conversation, you can ask them. You can call the office and just ask. There are different ways in which you can do that, but it's basically definitely what you want to do, because if you don't do that, you're not gonna, your campaign is not gonna perform that well. And then you're sending your parcel. And then the other very critical step is doing the call. So you really want to have an experienced salesperson or salesperson there to do that call, because it's a conversation. If you're just sending a message and you're not getting replies, you're not learning anything, right? If you're having that conversations, if you're having that call, and the call is not cold anymore, so you're following up on a gift that they received, they received it, exactly what, because you set it with a courier, you have the tracking, they got it, you're calling to follow up, and you're doing basically your qualification on that call, and you're basically trying to create the opportunity during that call. And then you can have a number of follow-up steps, again, mixing up, following up, using different channels. Maybe you can do email as well, and LinkedIn, potentially even Twitter, if your targets are on Twitter. And in that way, you will maximize the result of your call. So I'm going to give the word now to Andre, because I covered 2 campaigns. And yeah, voila. Andre, unmute yourself, please.
Yes. So I just want to drop 5 cents on the campaigns you have shared. First of all, I want to tell you guys that, again, always try to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. First of all, when it comes to market research campaign, treat it as warm-up first of all, as a warm-up campaign, and then you have an activation part if you see the match. But what is the second benefit? First of all, you can create a super valuable niche market report that you can publish as a guest post on major platforms and generate lots of PR and lots of traffic. This is indeed fantastic, incredible opportunity for you. So keep it always in mind. For ourselves, we did it. We did this research. If you want, we can share the link. And we published a research on Revenue Genius community. And it was a blast, like around 10,000 people that belong to our target industry read that blog post, and now we can use it as a social proof. So keep it always in mind. And the same, I want to share with you the ABM virtual event campaign. If you had a chance to attend our webinar that we have done in the mid of December 2020, I was talking about actually how to grow complex B2B in 2021. We were talking about trends, challenges, and solutions. And one of the challenges actually that we have identified during this market research, talking to almost 150 B2B companies, they mentioned one challenge: content blindness. And when it comes to content blindness, they told that it's extremely hard to generate target traffic. So if they host virtual event, it's actually extremely hard to get people show up, etc. And that's the problem, because everybody switched, to digital. Everybody is doing virtual events, starting producing content, etc. So it's extremely hard to grab the attention of target accounts. So I want to share with you a practical campaign that was performed on a narrow market. And basically, the campaign results and requisites. We had 3 people that they are not part-time employees, they are full-time team members, but they worked part-time on this virtual event. We spent less than $100 on paid promotion and basically on tech stack. And as a result, we did a mini summit. We have generated 2,320 signups. Straight from the bat, we generated 34 sales qualified opportunities and 5 new customers. And keep in mind that this company has an average sales cycle around 9 months. So generating 5 customers right from the scratch was a fantastic result. So here it is. And how do we execute these campaigns? Plan a niche event. Last year, we have arranged our full funnel B2B marketing summit. Let me know if you have attended it. Just put plus in the comments. I'm really curious if you were able to attend this summit. So then we did this niche event with Iridium. So this was done on a local market in Russia, and the summit was called Smart Houses and Buildings in Russia. And then we arranged one summit in US with Globe Guides company, and this summit is called the Workforces of Future. And just in 2 weeks, they are doing the second edition of this summit. So the critical idea here is that you need to plan a niche event. And I suggest you not to schedule and not to arrange a big event. You can start with mini summit, with panel discussion, a mix of both. Next, make a guest list. And when it comes to a guest list, who should be at your event? Your best customers. So it helps you to cultivate the relationship, to strengthen the relationship and actually prevent the churn. Next, members of the buying committee of your target accounts. So this is how you can connect with them. This is how you can get them on the event. This is how you'll be able to set up the calls, introduce yourself, etc. Next, thought leaders. Basically, this is the goal is obvious. You want to get the target traffic. You basically want to get the attention of target accounts that are following these niche thought leaders. And you need to partner with media. And once you have a great speaker lineup, once you did the first round of the promotion, it would be much easier, to get attention of media and partner with them. So next, add your workshops to the program. This is critical. So this is how you can present yourself, you can share your expertise, you can natively promote your product or service, not saying this is, at end, just if you're selling tech product, this is not the way how you're going to sell it. So you're not just opening your screen and doing a demo call. Obviously, no. So the goal is to talk about the challenges and sharing some solutions for your customers. So include your workshops to the program. Next, the most interesting part, how you are going to activate the signups. Because obviously, if you are not pitching anything, if you are not talking about about your product or service, how are you going to generate customers? I feel that you might have this question. So your next step is, once the event is finished, you should analyze signups. Find ideal customer profile, find companies that signed up and fit your ideal customer profile. And next, create a customized webinar to them. In some cases, not talking about this campaign, but in some cases we are doing like what we are doing, we are following up with these people and we ask for the feedback, and as well we ask about like saying something that we are going to host a webinar, like, and suggest a couple of topics and say what might be interested for you, like any of topics might be interesting for you, and ask them just, to fill in that short survey. That's it. In this particular case, we were not doing it because we knew what we are going to present. And basically, once we had the list of ideal customer profiles, we sent manual invitations. And in this case, we asked during the sign up form, we asked to leave a phone number. So in this case, we were sending SMS like saying that we are going to host this webinar and share the sign up link, plus obviously send several emails promoting the webinar and send some LinkedIn messages inviting these people to join. I mean, our people from ideal customer profile, inviting them to join the webinar. And this is how you present yourself. So don't worry, this like I used Google Translator because this was localized, all the content was in Russian. And basically the next step, again, on webinar, now you have the opportunity to present yourself, to talk more about your product. Again, it shouldn't be like a straightforward pitch, no way. So you should deliver value and natively promote your product. And after the event, what we are usually doing is that we are sending a content hub. This is what I have mentioned several times. And this is the best way how you can activate customers, because lots of them, they came to your event, let's say mini summit, panel discussion, workshop, or whatever you'll be going to host. Next step. So lots of them are not even aware about your product. Lots of them might not be in a buying mode. So they are not ready to book a demo call with you. Some of them will be, some of them will book demo call, some of them will be interested in the product or service, but most of them no. And they need more information to learn. And this is exact reason why you should be sending a content hub. So you have the webinar recording, you send some additional content about the topic you are going to present at webinar. And the next step, basically, of course, you include the links. And if you use software actually like DocSend, or we have partnered with Vladimir with Showpad, if you are aware of this software. So you can easily create these content hubs, as I mentioned. And once you create it once, when you create it once, then it would be a way easier to create new content hubs. It can be duplicated, and you just can add new content, and that's it. So like anybody can do a new content hub just in a couple of minutes. And the best part about this software, like Showpad or DocSend, they share with you the stats, who exactly visited this content hub and what content they consumed. As you can see the example, of course, when you see this blurred screen, there are emails, the email addresses, and basically that's it. This is how you identify who exactly visited your content hub. And you can easily identify warm prospects. If you see that a person spent 2 hours and 30 minutes in content hub, or 1 hour, or even 23 minutes, basically it means interest This means that this person is interested and you know what exact content they consumed, how much time they spent on each page. And this gives you priceless insights for your follow-up. So now you can reach out and say like, hey, Andre, you know, quite often people asking me about content hubs for sales enablement. Like if you have this question, let's jump into the call. I will share with you some practical examples on how can you implement it for, let's say, fullfunnel.io. So that's the easiest way to do a very personalized follow-up. And this is how you are going to activate them. And just believe you can arrange the same campaign just in 6 weeks, as you can see this campaign orchestration. And it can be done like even with 2 people. And just to prove, so you can find this testimonial on my LinkedIn's profile. You can see that actually this is a CEO of that company I have mentioned. We managed to hold a large-scale online summit. Without his help, we would never have held such an event in a short time at such high level. This one event brought us as many new leads in months as a year of work before. So just as a proof that it works. So I mentioned that actually we have a small gift for you, and I want to share with you something that we have created with Vlad. So a 6 weeks ABM playbook. Basically, we created a short actionable training that includes 18 videos, and it's just under 3 hours. So you can complete it literally this weekend. So we made it as practical as possible, and you can see the training curriculum right now. Basically, we added all of the templates. We added these campaign orchestrations and tried to explain the practical way of doing account-based marketing, avoiding fluff stuff, avoiding, you know, theoretical part, avoiding this fancy software. We're not talking about software at all. I will recommend some software for content hubs or for follow-ups, but not talking about these fluffy IP-based Martech vendors or whatever. So we are focusing on strategy. We have 4 playbooks that you can easily execute in 6 weeks. And we have all the templates and dashboards for you. You can see the examples of these plays that are already orchestrated. So all you need is just to copy and tweak these emails to your needs. And worksheets and dashboards, basically this is what people love. I know that some of you contributed to our survey, so we talked almost with 100 people about their needs when it comes to account-based marketing, how to start a pilot campaign from scratch, how to get executives buy-in. So this is what we have created: ideal customer profile template, account research template, campaign dashboard with the metrics, pilot campaign presentation for executives, phone follow-ups template, account qualification template, campaign analysis template, etc. So basically everything you need. You can see the examples of these worksheets and dashboards. And the best part, probably there would be a question like, how much does it cost? And I know lots of people, you know, they tend to think that a course like this should cost like $500 or $1,000. I know we did a research and the close price range is around like for the course like this is around $500. But we have completely different mindset. As we told you, the goal of this program is to arrange account-based marketing program quickly in 6 weeks and land sales qualified opportunities on a ramen budget. And that's why I believe the education shouldn't be that expensive. So during the launch price, we just priced this playbook for $99, and I believe this is a price that everybody can afford. And yeah, this is a link. I believe Vlad will share this link in the chat, so you can grab this course and get a lifetime access to it. And as a flash bonuses, we wanted to, like, for people who are fast movers, let's say, we added 2 flash bonuses for those guys who will enroll before Saturday. You can get my LinkedIn demand generation workshop, including the book I have mentioned in the beginning, and market segmentation workshop. And the price for all of this bundle will be $99. So added examples of testimonials I have had. So these are, as you know, this is a just product that we created literally yet. I mean, we have recorded the last video yesterday. So this is a fresh product. We don't have alumni or students or whatever. So I just attached testimonials of our customers. And one of the best examples of ABM campaigns we had with a Revelgy company, and we did a great campaign with them. So Staffo shared the way how he used account-based marketing, the way how we helped him to arrange it in his company. Adrian, I don't know if he's here, but the same, he did a couple of ABM courses before and paid 10 times more for these courses than for this one. And we just had a 1-hour conversation where I have explained all the process, and he absolutely loved it, and told then he implemented the advice and told me that it helped me way better than 2 courses together. So that's it. If you're interested in a practical account-based marketing and you want to get this short actionable training to land sales qualified opportunities just in 6 weeks with templates, with worksheets and dashboard, visit this link bit.ly/6 weeks ABM, and you'll get the lifetime deal. Now it's time for questions. I'll happily answer all of your questions. And thanks, guys. Great stuff. Thanks a lot for your feedback. Any questions? If you have any questions, feel free. Yes, the playbook covers all the 6 weeks course. So basically, the playbook is it includes these 4 plays. The direct mail play, completely orchestrated for you with all the necessary steps, with the dashboards, with the templates, as I mentioned. So does price include a certification of completion? Like, well, if you want, I honestly, I am not a big fan of certificates, but if you'd like to get it, we'll happily ask our designer to prepare it just for you. So we don't promise, we don't promise it, but if you need it, I will happily ask our designer to make it for you. No problem at all. Any other questions? Let me quickly check what were the questions about the webinar program. So there was a question about our tech step. Just believe it's not that complicated. So we are very limited in tools. As I mentioned, as for the content hubs, we have used DocSend until we have partnered with Showpad. So this is our key software for content hubs. Next, ActiveCampaign. This is our main marketing automation software, where we're sending all this, setting up all these lead nurturing sequences and sending our newsletters. And we use it as a CRM as well. They have this CRM inbuilt function. So this is the second software. The next one, when it comes to, let's say, marketing and sales stack, time to time we use Nusi, or how it's called, Nusi, probably nusi.com. So this is, it's optional. So this software just helps you to create beautiful templates of proposals, but this is optional. And Albacross, basically, when it comes to Albacross, we use it for IP. This is IP identification software that shares with us the data what companies have visited our website, and this is how we regularly identify new accounts. And that's it. So these are the most common software we are using. For some, let's say, dedicated, very specific cold outbound campaigns, we are using Lemlist. I believe lots of you have heard about it. And for LinkedIn automation, I'm not a big fan of LinkedIn automation, but sometimes we are using it for some specific reasons. I don't want to talk about this right now, because just in 2 weeks, I'm hosting the webinar with the founder of Expendi. This is the software we are using for LinkedIn automation, and basically we'll give you some examples of best automation, LinkedIn automation practices. And that's it. So as you can see, it's not that complicated and not really expensive. And just believe me, it's $100 to $200 per month. And we have, if you'll visit our website, fullfunnel.io/resources, you'll see the tech stack we use and some software that we recommend for some specific marketing needs. So it's like, situational software we use for some special cases like link shot and, whatever, just to give you an idea. Do you provide other services additional to the course? Obviously, so course is not our main business. And actually, we don't have courses at all. So this is our first course, to be honest. We have Full Funnel Academy that we have created for marketers of our clients. And we have 20 people in this academy. So these are some people from our B2B marketers and founders community. But we don't have the courses. This is not our business. 99.9% of our income is coming from consulting projects where we collaborate closely with our clients. So just to give you an idea, we are in trenches and we are doing account-based marketing every given day with Vladimir and with the teams of our clients. So hope it answers your question. Next, let me quickly check. There was a question about benchmark, and my personal feeling about benchmarks: don't believe industry benchmarks, especially if these industry benchmarks were provided by enterprise account-based marketing vendors. My personal opinion that you need to compare every company, and especially depends, on your market, on verticals you are targeting, and you'll see that for different verticals, you'll have different conversion rates, different reply rates, and it makes no sense to compare these reply rates to the benchmarks provided by these MarTech vendors. For example, Vlad shared a campaign that we have done under $300, but at the same time, we did the same campaign for a company that sells a software to automate manufacturing processes, and we are prospecting big enterprise corporate companies like Nestle, like Coca-Cola, like Pepsi, and the average contract value is around $2 million. So how can we even compare or set up benchmark, for these campaigns? So that's why I believe you need to have your own benchmark and just try to improve every campaign. And especially keep in mind, if you start doing account-based marketing from scratch, that would be a huge learning curve. So your goal is to improve and refine every campaign and try to beat the results of the previous campaign. So this is my approach when it comes to setting up benchmarks. What else? It seems that it.
There was a question from Wadi if you have worked with customers from Latin America.
No, we have never worked. So that's no.
North America, yes. Europe, yes.
And Australia.
And Australia, Middle East, but not with Latin America.
No.
Sí que yo hablo español, pero nunca lo hicimos.
So you can involve Vlad easily. He learned Spanish, so.
De nada.
Anyway, any other question, guys?
Thank you, Olivier.
So I hope you got some good insights from this webinar. Vlad, can you please share once more the link? So if you are interested, again, as I mentioned, we tried to make this like 6 weeks ABM program affordable, actionable, and I hope that you can easily use it. And our goal, honestly, to have positive results that we can always say, this is a case study. And once people will be talking about the expensive ABM programs and that you need a huge budget, we can always refer to you and say, this is actually the example of guys who passed the program and have had the great results. So that's it. This is our goal. We believe that education should be affordable, and I hope we'll see you inside. So thanks a lot for your time, and see you in the future events. Just to let you know, quick heads up that in 2 weeks we'll be hosting webinar with CEO of Expander about LinkedIn best practices. And this Tuesday, there would be a live podcast with Dennis Yu about PR programs that you can launch on Facebook. So if you're interested, I will send you an invite. Cheers. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.